for tonight's supersized absolute worst. Because why limit yourself to just one worst when there are just so many deserving candidates? That's next. For most Americans, January 6th is a solemn day, except, of course, for the guy who helped make that day a reality, the former president. And up until yesterday, he was planning to celebrate his seditious anniversary with a big old press event. That is, until Trumpolini's advisors told him it might not be a good idea. I guess the guy who called himself a genius needed a note from the land of the obvious. On to Plan B. Instead of holding his rah-rah riot event, he is running to Arizona on Martin Luther King Jr.'s actual birthday, no less, to hold one of his right-wing MAGA tent revivals. I guess Arizona has become the front line for 2020 denialism. At this point, it's pretty clear to everyone that Republicans are unwilling to ever accept defeat in an election. But don't tell that to the one Republican who's unwilling to acknowledge that reality, namely one Addison Mitchell McConnell III.
Why would any legislature in America want to overturn the counting of votes? The notion that some state legislature would be crazy enough to say to their own voters, we're not going to honor the results of the election is ridiculous on its face.
Mitch, please. Denial ain't just a river in Egypt. And if he'd poke his head out of his shell for longer than 30 seconds, he'd see the Republicans are already trying to do just that. In Michigan, they are replacing local election board members with people who want to block the approval of elections. In Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, Republicans want to hold open-ended reviews of the 2020 election. Far more disturbing, NPR found that this year's Secretary of State races across the country, at least 15 Republican candidates question whether President Joe Biden is even the legitimate president. These are the people who have the responsibility to carry out election laws, or at least they used to. This is what democracy experts are calling a slow-motion insurrection with a higher probability of success. You need more proof? Coup supporters are lining up to run for governor and Senate. Just look at Kari Lake in Arizona, Josh Mandel in Ohio, Eric Greitens in Missouri, and Herschel Walker in Georgia. They all support Trump's big lie because that's the only ticket in GOP land. These folks would join the rest of the 147 members of the Seditionist Party on Capitol Hill, which includes winners like the most despised man in America, Ted Cruz, fist-pumping, receding chin activist Josh Hawley, and folks like that Margie lady who's no longer on Twitter and America's creepiest congressman, Matt Gaetz. It should come as no surprise that the majority of those cowards refused to state for the record that President Joe Biden was duly elected. The Huffington Post tried. And if you needed yet another reminder of how spineless these politicians are, Politico is reporting that the party will just pretend like January 6th isn't even a thing tomorrow. What insurrection? Enter Margie Q and Matt the Creeper. Those bottom feeders will host their own press conference tomorrow. Now, personally, I won't be watching. I'd rather get a root canal without Novocaine. So bravo to the Sedition Party, formerly known as the GOP, for showing your complete lack of courage when it comes to defending American democracy. You are the absolute worst and will remain so until you grow a spine. And that's tonight's REIDOUT.